Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to the Scratch Kiss Academy. Please excuse why I look like a penguin. It is -1 or 2 in my house right now. But before we get started, Discord, please run over to our Discord, come join, come see all the wonderful people in there talking TTRPGs, D&D, and anything and everything, so head over there. If you want to get into a game, drop Scrat a DM on Twitter. We have 5 viewer games this season, including Cypher, D&D, Ryutama, you name it, we've got it. So if you want to try out a new system and get in a game, drop Scrat a DM. YouTube, everything is going up on YouTube normally the day after, if not 2 days after. But everything before this episode is already up, so definitely go and check it out if you haven't done already. We are full-time now, and that's thanks to you lovely, lovely people. So please go check out our Patreon if you would like to support us. We've also just had a new article go up by the very lovely Renee, who you can see here. Look at her face, isn't it pretty? She's also gone freelance, so definitely go check out her work. We also have merch via Redbubble, which is one of my many layers, but I'm not going to take them to show you because it's really cold here. But go and check it out. There's some awesome stuff there. We also have some wonderful sponsors, one in the form of Bird in the Storm, where you can go and get their merch in the link in chat. They do mugs, t-shirts, and hoodies also, and they write modules, D&D modules specifically, and we're also planning some stuff ready for season 3 with them, which I'm super excited about. We also have another wonderful sponsor in the form of Magehand Press, which is a D&D 5e reskin called Dark Matter Alpha, which is effectively D&D in space. And for all your sci-fi needs, head over there. Also, every 4 followers and every 10 retweets, we will be giving out, I think, what was it? Was it still a trinket, Renee? Yeah, we're giving out a trinket. And for a £10 donation, each character has a signature move, which none of us know each other's yet, but I'm pretty sure they're really badass, and I really want to see what they are, and I don't think anyone's willing to go first, but yeah, you can use those once per session. But without further ado, I will hand over to the lovely Renee. Hello, Renee.
Hi, hello. I got Roll20 up and working just now on this computer. Perks of having 2 screens that are like not remotely connected in any way. Hi, and welcome to Dynama. I'm excited for what this week has to offer. We will be playing Weave. So as Alice said, each of the characters has special moves that we can see throughout the game, but each of the characters was built around the drawing of cards, and the story today is built around those same cards. Last week, I did not actually play the boss or show off the boss card because I expect it to still come into play today, but I will show you that our theme card is the Herald and our location is the woods for today's session. So I'm very excited about it. When we last left our sort of heroes who have been thrown together and then stranded out in a city, they'd been thrown together and stranded out in a city. They had faced a wave of machines that were attacking the town of Mellowary in a more coordinated attack from machines than anyone had ever seen, as well as a unique machine that no one had seen before. The group fled Mellowary thanks to the unpredictable and magic of the world with a life of its own called Dynama, and ended up in a old ancient city, perhaps part of the old world that was here before. And after wandering through the city for some time and getting to know each other and getting to find out if they get along, spoiler, it's not always, they wandered through the city and found a house to take shelter in, and just in time too, since one of their party had been wounded and needed tending to. So while Skylar has been tending to him. The two other party members went out to find some food and ended up finding much more than they bargained for. So, if we could go around really quickly and say kind of who you are, who you're playing really quickly, we can hop into this week's game. And let's plan to start with Alice.
Hello, I'm Alice and I am playing Umiko. I'm still figuring her out, if I'm honest, and it's sort of going with the flow with it. She's already not what I planned her to be, but so far we know that she can draw water from the air. So yeah, I'm looking forward to... Oh, and can go slightly invisible at the end of last week. Slightly.
And has a precious tiny frog.
I have a frog in my water skin. Oh, and my reindeer. Yeah, I should probably mention my stag too. The larger animal.
Okay, let's go around to Julie.
Hello, I'm Julie. I play Fen, who's kind of our tanky-ish party member. I'm also kind of figuring them out, but it's coming to me pretty easily. I think we mesh pretty well. So it's the little details we find out along the way are fluid and good. But yeah,
the beginning of a stream or any game actually always has to do with getting to know the characters, because no matter how much you can build them up in your head and work out their backstory, it's always different when you're living them. And lastly, we have Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly, aka Lane on Twitter, Talia Darkin in chat, and I'm playing Skylar, who is, I guess, our support character, our healer, but we also have learned that she has some knowledge of Dynama, which is the magic equivalent in this particular universe that Renee's crafted, and that she can be kind of snarky. Yeah, she can be real salty, popcorn kind of salty.
I call it gumption.
And I love that y'all kind of attributed your characters to different types. But could you share the suit of each of your characters in weave terms and what that kind of means? And we'll go around if you know it.
I've forgotten what I am.
I know what you are.
Okay.
Okay. So Alice is playing our dex-based character, which is a Gale's suite. And in terms of the game, that means that anytime she rolls a dexterity or perception challenge, which is also dependent on Gale's, she gets an extra die for her pool. So Umiko is our Gale's character. And Fen...
I am the Stone's character, which is more to do with kind of constitution and strength checks. So the feats of athleticism tend to be attributed to that.
And Kelly. Skylar.
I'm playing our Flames character, which is kind of an intelligence equivalent suit. So on related intelligence-related tasks, I get the bonus.
Perfect. And lastly, we have our Brooks character, which is inspired by charisma generally and interacting with people. And that is Sierra, played by Jay, who will be rejoining us next week. So, thanks, y'all. And let's hop in. Skylar, Fen, where did we leave you last week?
We pet a reindeer, and then we came back.
It was a reindeer thing.
I'm not sure how calming that was, but and I know we got back, and is it Mare
Yes, Mare.
Okay, I know he woke up briefly, and we were like, okay, cool. He's all right mostly, but then he went back to sleep. So I don't know if we heard anything else at that point.
Okay. Sorry, there may be a cat behind the green screen, which is always a risk.
Do not pay attention to the cat behind the screen.
Yeah, at the end of last week, you kind of left on I think a calmer note after Mare went back to sleep. What did you end up doing with your time?
Since we had a bit of downtime, I think there's a kind of maintenance type routine that Fen has to do with their arm. With just like supplies they always have on them, like kind of oiling hinges and whatnot, and that's kind of a daily
thing. And so can you describe Fen's arm to us?
Now that I have made a paper model of it, I know it very well. So it starts about like halfway down from the shoulder, or at least that's where it like appears to. The only joint really is where an elbow would be, and that's kind of like a ball joint. There is some armor over it, so it's not entirely visible, but the kind of hand portion looks kind of like almost like a shell would, like it has like a few little ripples, but under that's where the kind of 3 claw like things come out when it is engaged. Most of the time when not in a fighting scenario, there's kind of a spring type mechanism that will draw in the sharper parts, so it's not dangerous to just be around. There's kind of like a button type spring thing that will engage and pop out, whatever. But
awesome.
It's
I'm sorry if I'm making weird faces. I have 2 pets in the room with me right
you're
now.
fine.
Anything could happen.
I like to think it's a couple different kinds of metal it's been added to as time has gone on, but it's all in very good, like clean condition.
Because of this kind of daily routine of cleaning it.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Okay. Skylar, what have you done in the meantime?
Probably a lot of panicking. Because Mare was up briefly, but not like up. So she's probably spent a lot of time just like resuming the pacing, seeing as the attempt at being sorry, I'm just waiting for something to happen with this cat.
Me too.
Since the attempt at having a calming effect with the reindeer kind of turned out more like playing dodgeball. I think she's still probably pretty nervous and pretty worked up, worried about him, but also kind of trying to keep her hands busy by kind of prepping different mixtures. And depending on exactly how long it's been, she may have even finally like kind of passed out on the couch. on the not bed. On the cushy not bed.
Right. Yeah, so I think as this kind of time has gone on, Skylar finds herself passing out on the couch, which we'll call it because it's very hard to talk around the word couch. And Fen is kind of going through this daily routine, and At some point, Sierra, who had been sitting on the couch and kind of observing this coin that she had found, she kind of flushes, stands up, and walks out of the house. And the door kind of slams shut behind her. And it's a little bit, well, abrupt.
I'm gonna try and follow her.
Yeah.
I'm staring at your cat. Oh my gosh. If I go to follow her, I don't know, she wouldn't have like that much of a head start. Ben's kind of just like, oh, she didn't really go alone.
Yeah, you follow her outside, and it turns out she doesn't go far. She goes kind of to the edge of the yard, the grassy area, and she just kind of sits down. She spreads out her really nice fabric clothes kind of underneath her, and she just sits down and just looks out, and she looks very calm. She hasn't looked back at you. But she looks very, like, caught in thought.
Well, I guess I'm gonna stand watch then. You do your thing. And I'll look around, see if our abrupt departure from this previously very quiet house has drawn any attention. If there's anything else out here.
Yeah, could you roll me a perception check, please?
Sure.
So, Gales, we are looking for 2s, if I recall correctly. So that is a success. And I'm going to check in the Discord so that I know which ones we have corresponding to what numbers. Yeah, that's why I'm going to check. But I'm relatively confident that it was 2s. 2s is Brooks. It's 3s. We're looking for 3s. Sorry, my bad.
That's the same one you flipped last week, too.
It is, too!
I know, because I, scratched it out thinking I had it wrong, and then I went back and I fixed it.
No, I sent it correct in the Discord. That is what we're going to go by. So, that is no successes then, because there are no 3s. So, as you kind of look around, it's still very eerily quiet. There's nothing really that sticks out to you about the surrounding area. You see a bird fly overhead, and it catches you off guard for a second, but things seem to be peaceful. You don't believe any machines have followed you, or there's any other threats at the moment.
All right. Well, I'm gonna guess keeping an eye out, back off a bit, and just, I don't know, lean against the wall of the house and either continue what I was doing before or just kind of hang out outside. It is a nice day after all.
Looks like we got a new friend.
Yeah. So, Skylar, did the slamming door wake you up?
Yeah, I think so. She's used to kind of sleeping in odd places, so that would require her to be a light sleeper. But I think when she realized who was leaving, she'd probably just shrug and maybe lean back in the couch for a minute, and then groggily get up to go check on Murray again.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to roll me an intelligence check while you check on him?
Sure. So, just the
basic 3, and then we're looking for flames, which is 5s. Okay, yeah. So that is a success, and so pretty easily he looks like he's fallen into a peaceful sleep. But he's stable, and the tincture that you made for him does take away some of his discomfort, and so you've noticed that the fever that he had earlier seems to have gone down a bit. He's not as hot as he was before, and the wound seems to be doing okay.
Okay, then she might follow outside to see what the ruckus is about.
Yeah. So you step outside and find Fen waiting there, and Sierra has kind of found a place not so far away and spread out her flowing, billowy, thin fabrics that she wears, and has kind of set up to meditate.
Is the reindeer around?
Yes, the reindeer is around. In fact, the reindeer, where would he be, Umiko?
Munching away at that green stuff in the garden. Just probably because we move a lot, he's probably taking the time to actually just sit. You know that chew where it's like that sideways chew? That's what it is.
That's perfect. So yeah, he's, I think, kind of like over near the house where some of the grass and weeds have grown up highest. They're kind of like almost up halfway through the window. I mean, these it's like a forest of weeds, really.
And I think she would just look at Skylar would probably like note the location of the reindeer. She hasn't decided about what their relationship is going to be like yet. It was kind of pokey earlier.
I'm doing a happy dance because we hit follower goal and 10 retweets. Woo!
Fen just kind of looks up at you, just like.
And Skylar's just like, should it? Where did the other two go? Like, where are they? I don't understand.
He went to find some food, as far as I know.
Yeah, but like, shouldn't they be back by now? Like, it's been a minute. It's been a little while.
I mean, are you worried?
I mean, this whole day has been worrying about reindeer, worrying about dying people. So, I mean, it just seems like a good theme.
That's fair.
So as you kind of have this conversation, you do notice that the sun is starting to go down in the distance. And it's starting to, the sky's turning a bit orange, and pastel colors kind of light the clouds from behind. And it's calm. It's beautiful. And it is getting late. And at this moment, we will address those trinket rolls in a second. Both of them went to Kelly. So we're going to hop on over at this point, though, to our friends Umiko and Magda, who went off to find food. Umiko, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, people started appearing from the walls, between the houses, everywhere. And Umiko managed to catch it just in time by rolling 3 6s, which I will never be able to do again. Saw this coming and had to quickly get Magda to be quiet before wrapping effectively the air around them and shielding them and hiding them from their view.
And sure enough, Magda kind of catches your eye as you wrap this we'll call it a sheet of Dynama around you, because it isn't really a wall, it's not so sturdy, it's flowy and billowing as you wrap this like air around yourself. And some shimmer to it from your side of things. You can see through it, but Umiko, you know no one can see you. Magda is making eye contact with you and just kind of unsure of what is happening.
Yeah, she's still there with that finger over her lips, just shaking her head.
But she is listening. She stays very quiet and very still. And as this sheet wraps around you and closes you off from sight, you're both somewhat holding your breath as a figure steps out from between the two houses. Oh, and thank you so much for the raid, Grim. We so appreciate it. Welcome to Dynama, everyone. We're in a tense moment. And this person steps out from between the two houses. And he's armed with a bow and arrow, and it's loaded. And the bow is drawn as he kind of looks around the opening. This space. It's a little more than an alleyway, but there's not a ton of space between houses where you're at. And he kind of pauses for a second, and he flicks his hair back a bit. And he looks around, but his eyes pass right over the two of you. Sorry, 2 seconds. Okay. And so as their eyes pass over you, another figure steps out from the other side of the alley and says, "Did it go this way?" And the other one says, "I'm not sure. I heard something, but I don't see a rabbit. But I did hear something, I swear." And another figure steps out and is like, "Well, if you heard something, it's likely it's already moved on. If we don't find that rabbit, we don't have dinner tonight. Or the sun is already going down." And the other two kind of nod and are looking around, but the one with the drawn bow is just kind of getting closer and closer to you. And as he approaches you further, you realize that he has a kind of a crown of sorts that's decorated with machine parts. It's very small scraps of metal that have been strung together and kind of wrap around his head. And he has the same thing over each of his shoulders and a belt around his waist. And his quiver is strung over his shoulder. A much, much better weapon for hunting than what the two of you brought with you today. And he's kind of like cautiously stepping forward towards you.
How close is he?
He's about a few feet away. I'd say about 3 feet.
Yeah. Umiko will probably almost be holding a hand over Magda's mouth now and an arm around her shoulders. And if he gets too close, she's just gonna sidestep out of the way.
And that happens as he kind of continues moving forward and just kind of, he has no clue that there's anything there. He's just like cautiously moving through this alleyway as the two of you very, very slowly sidestep him and watch him pass. In fact, his arm just almost brushes you, but not enough for him to notice as he passes you by, and you hear a whistle from a few streets away. And he looks up and he says, "Well, that's our call. Sorry I lost it." And the other two kind of like come up to him and punch him a little bit on the shoulder, and they're like, no, it happens all the time. These paths get so twisted and turned, and all three of them kind of turn and walk slowly away from the two of you. And Magda is just like, you can feel her like, from the air from her nose is just like very heavy breathing, even though she's like trying not to. And the two walk away from you, and you're left alone in the alley in peace.
And who just takes her hand and like, okay? And she'll just, it's almost like she's pulling back a curtain, and she just, don't freak out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna freak out necessarily, but that was wicked cool.
I'm guessing you can't do that either. Okay, well, either way, I think we need to, and she starts like picking up her stuff and adjusting. I think she said, I sort of think I don't really want to come across them again, so I'd like to move.
Yes, of course. That's unbelievable.
We don't want to have to fight anyone unnecessarily.
No, of course not. Did you see a rabbit?
No.
Neither did I.
I think we were the rabbit.
Maybe. I guess I just hoped that maybe that would have been dinner.
I mean, we can look for a rabbit. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to look for fish.
We were. Yes. I got my hopes up for a moment.
I eat rabbits. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I normally fish, not,
Well, do we keep going if they're still around? We don't know.
Not that way. And she's like already started turning in the other direction.
And Magda nods, and she's been keeping her voice pretty hushed at this point, because obviously you don't want to mess with mysterious strangers. And the two of you turn back the other direction and start kind of progressing further and further in. And could you roll me a perception check, please?
Yes, I can. 20, let me, there we go. Oh god. Really, I would do that.
Yeah, so you got a 6, which is a success. So as you are looking around, you do actually see a small-ish rabbit across the way.
Do you want to try that darts thing?
Sure. And so she doesn't take a step, she just very slowly pulls out this weapon that she took from her brother's bag, which is much different than the spear that she carries with her. Oops, I can't type 3d6. I typed 3/3. And we're looking for none of those, unfortunately. As she kind of like aims this dart and it pings off the ground and the rabbit darts away, and she just swears under her breath. And just, that's what I get for trying my brother's weapon instead of mine. Ugh.
It's okay, it's why I catch fish. I can't do that either.
Fair. Okay, there's gotta be a stream somewhere. I just...
Welcome to the academy. Please take
Yeah,
your seat.
no, let's keep going. Do you...
We'll find something.
And the sun is sinking lower and lower on the horizon now. You see the same thing that Skylar and Julie saw, or Skylar and Fen saw. I'm looking at their Zoom names and I just like totally Skylar and Fen saw, where the clouds are turning this beautiful pastel orange as the sun starts to get lower, and Magda picks up the pace a little bit as you start to find this is a strange area. There's these houses, these buildings everywhere that look lived in, like the home that you stopped in earlier. But the space that you come across is just very suddenly not homes. In fact, there's this wide expanse with trees and a lake centered in the middle of it. And off to the side, there's this like weird contraption. It's not as big as the houses that you've passed by, but it's faded now, made of metal bars twisted and wound together, and it's overgrown by weeds and grasses, but it stands on the shore a little ways away of a small lake, and around the lake are a number of geese and also small ducks. And Magda just like breathes a sigh of relief.
Whereas you hear Umiko, so, oh, I hate geese. Like you can hear, she's saying it to herself. She's not saying it like directly to Madga, but she'd be able to hear. She's just like, ugh.
Do you like to eat them?
Oh, they are delicious, but like that, I know, vicious things, all snappy and bitey, and they move faster than you realize. She just gets her staff out, like just holds it in front of her, not to attack one. She's just not liking them.
Yeah, Magda kind of takes her spear out. She's like, fast enough that I couldn't take them down with a spear?
It's more that they're going to chase you. I mean, you can try, but I'm gonna go stand over there, because if you piss it off, it's gonna go right for you.
Right. I guess I'm just weighing risk versus reward.
I mean, it gives you like a bite. It's not going to kill you, but I just don't like them. I fish. Like she's like,
yeah.
Like,
okay.
fish.
Maybe okay. You go try and catch a fish, maybe on the other shore, away from.
Do that.
Here.
Can you see her really like taking a wide berth around these geese past the ducks?
We'll
She's
tag
fine
team.
with ducks, but she's fine.
And Magda like grabs her spear and takes a deep breath, and she goes up, and for I'm going to go ahead and roll a stones challenge for her, which is gonna be interesting. It's just a stones challenge too. So we're looking for 4s and 6s. That's 1 6, so that is 1 success. And let's see, 1d5, 1d6. Oh, okay. Yeah. So she goes up and she kind of lashes out at this goose, and it squawks at her and begins to come directly at her. And so there ends up being this kind of like chase scene around the area as she kind of like tries to fend it off with her spear, and it's coming after her, and the rest of the geese have either like squawked and taken off or are kind of swarming around her as well, and she's just like kind of kicking at them and just like using both ends of the spear. Yeah, Umiko's like at a safe distance. And Umiko, what are you trying to do?
Well, first of all, I'm watching like, I told you they would do that. And she'll be trying to catch fish unless it looks like it's getting out of hand.
Oh, yeah. So she's doing okay for herself. It's not great, but she's just she's managing, you know, like every now and again she'll just like go and then like and then just like hit a goose like with the one staff of her spear and then like lash out with it, and it like flaps up and feathers go flying.
Those feathers.
Feathers everywhere. But if you're gonna try, and are you gonna try and fish?
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
try and fish. Yes. I'm going to stand in the water and literally, it's that really awkward thing where she looks like she's creeping through the water because she's put her staff down on the shore and is literally getting like really low in the water and just waiting to grab one.
Okay, let's say this is a Gale's challenge, because I think it will be based on both perception and dexterity. So if you could roll me a Gale's challenge 2, we're looking for 3s
Okay.
or 6s.
So that's just 3d6 again, isn't it? I am just doing.
It's a challenge, so if you want to argue to use some of your abilities, you can.
I'm very used to water.
Your talents, I mean, yes. Okay.
I'm very, very used to water, so I feel maybe that would help, and like with the living by the sort of a fjord or ocean or something like that.
Okay, yeah, you're definitely used. This is your element. It's also your character's suit, so you get a bonus die already. So that is 5 so
Not
far.
5, okay. I think that's it, really.
Okay. Ooh, okay. So, you are trying to catch these fish, and there are several that pass by. The strike that you rolled will come into play, because this is a failure, and there is a strike there that won. And so, as you're trying to catch fish, you actually manage to catch one. And as you throw it towards the shore, it lands at someone's feet. And this person, decorated with the same kind of metal crown that you saw earlier, looks at you and just says, "What have we here?" And you slip. You feel your feet like go out from under you as you fall into the water. And Mag does not notice. She's over dealing with geese.
Yeah, no, I feel that. She'll probably try and sit back up again in the like still staying slightly submerged, but good evening. How long have you been there?
And when you fell into the water, you felt this like wood stick kind of scrape up against your leg, and it's now your leg is now bleeding in the water. That is what that strike effectively. You have a wound for this scene.
Yeah, she sort of like hisses, but tries not to show that she's wounded because she doesn't want this person to know. She's like, you shouldn't sneak up on people.
I hadn't heard that one before.
It's good to remember.
And he walks towards you.
And she said, no, you stay where you are. No.
You see, it seems like I have the upper hand here. Why should I stay where I am?
You so readily assume you have the upper hand.
You're the one sitting in the water.
I am.
His eyes kind of narrow at you. And he says, "Well, if you're fine staying where you are, I can stay where I am."
Good. Like, she doesn't know what to do. She's not normally, like, in face-off. She's like, yes, you stay exactly where you are. Magda, we have a visitor.
Magda kind of squawks as the other geese are squawking and flailing around her, and as she kind of hears you calling, she like stumbles away from the goose that's been kind of pursuing her, and she just like keeps her spear out towards it and looks towards you and goes, "Oh shit."
You have her friend, right? And she sort of looks over at this guy that's emerged. Like, what are your intentions? You haven't come here for a swim, I assume.
Oh, we only just met. So friend might be a strong term, but
I was being polite, but if you want me to call you stranger, then that's fine.
Not here for a swim, stranger.
You here for geese? Ducks? And she looks down at fish, because that one's mine. I call that.
You're absolutely welcome to it. No, geese and ducks and fish are one of the best reasons to come to this park. Park. That's what this place is called. You find yourself in the old walls, yet don't know anything about it?
Nope.
Huh.
I came here because I was hungry, and I found fish and geese and ducks.
There are those. And he kind of like puts a foot on the fish that you threw up onto the shore, and it's kind of still flopping around, and he's just kind of waiting and looking at you.
Yeah, don't touch my fish. Get your filthy boot off my fish, please. I have to eat that.
It was in the filthy lake only moments before, as are you, actually.
We'll give it some respect. It's dying.
Roll me a charisma check, please.
I am not charismatic at all.
You need 2s or 6s, and those are 6s. And so very cautiously he steps away from the fish. Takes his foot off and backs up a little bit. And you hear a whistle. And he kind of raises his ear and he whistles back in response. 2 short kind of trills.
Are you going?
No. Actually, we may have more friends joining us soon.
Then I will take my fish and I will go. And I sort of stand, probably like a little bit of a struggle, but she's really trying to like make it not known. And she'll walk over, pick up the fish, make it obvious she's going to dip it in the water to clean it off whilst keeping eye contact with him. And it's like, Magda, we're going now.
And Magda kind of arrives over there at the same time. And you can tell that like she's been nipped on her arm a couple of times. They're like kind of those red spots. And she's just like, ah. And she comes over and she's staying a good couple of feet away and holding her spear kind of aloft. And he's kind of like sticking his foot up just a little bit between you, Umiko. Between you and Magda, from where you've crouched down by the lake to wash off the fish.
I'm going. We're going. Could you... Oh, fine, I'll go the other way around. And Umiko will start to move, and she'll take Magda's hand and be like, we've got fish for dinner, and try to lead her away, basically.
And as you do, another figure kind of steps out of the trees and makes eye contact with this one nearest the lake. And sure enough, another figure follows soon behind. And both of them have weapons. The first has a bow and arrow, and you actually recognize him from the alleyway earlier. And the other has sort of like a crossbow of sorts. And they both kind of come up behind you, and he says, "Really, I'd hoped to chat before you headed anywhere soon. Perhaps we could part as more than strangers?"
Well, ask your questions, because I'm in a hurry.
So are we. And he kind of nods his head, and the two come up behind both you and Magda, and kind of like, very, like, it's threatening, but it's also very casually kind of aim their weapons at you and direct you towards the direction they came from.
And she looks at, no, I think we chat here, and then we go our separate ways. Please. You know, I'm getting this little bit of a hostile feeling. I mean, I don't know if it's what you're meaning to do, but I don't like it.
Suffice to say, we don't have visitors very often. You'll come with us. You'll leave with dinner before too long.
But I don't.
But you'll answer our questions.
I don't want to. Don't
They
point.
so rarely do.
Don't point that arrow at me.
And the guy kind of lowers his bow a little bit, and he says, "Will you come?"
I don't know. Will you point it at me?
I'll point it down.
I'm not going to attack unless you appear threatening. What am I gonna do? I've got a stick. And she sort of gestures to like the fish in her staff.
He kind of makes eye contact with the one closest to shore, and he nods, and they both kind of lower their weapons, and they say, "All right, this way." And they gesture, and Magda is kind of like looking back and forth between all of them and looking at you, and she has a hand at her side, and her eyes are about as wild as they were when you were wrapped in Dynama waiting for this moment. And very slowly she starts to follow them.
And she'll like, Imake will follow if Magda goes.
Back at the house, it has been quite some time now since Magda and Umiko left. And while Fen was somewhat keeping guard, they didn't see the first figure come out down the road. They were looking the other direction, or at a bird passing in the sky. And you hear a shrill call, a lot like the sounds birds would make, actually. And soon, you realize that there's a group of people, and they are moving in on the yard.
Do they look like they're moving like aggressively or like in some kind of...
They all have weapons.
Has Sierra noticed anything, or is she still meditating?
Sierra is meditating.
Okay.
Has not noticed anything.
Well, once I see people, I'm just like, Sierra, you might want to take a break.
She does not respond.
I'm gonna go over, like, put a hand on her shoulder.
And she kind of pauses and looks up at you for a moment, and like there's a strange look in her eye, and then it passes, and she passes out.
Well, that ain't good. Is Skylar still out here? Like, were we just kind of waiting out here?
Yeah, I think so. And Skylar's like, oh, Jesus Christ, another one. And I think if she sees these people down the road, I think her first instinct is to try and hide behind the reindeer.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and, I guess. I'm trying to decide if that even
It's
merits a
possible.
roll. As I don't feel like it's even stealth yet. It's just kind of like you're hiding behind the reindeer. And
You said the grass is really tall, so hopefully
the grass
between the
is really
reindeer and the
tall.
grass.
I think there's no roll here yet. And so Skylar ducks behind the reindeer, and Finn, you're left with Sierra passed out on the ground.
I'm trying to like pick her up at this point.
Yeah,
With like
okay.
people. This.
And they're approaching, and they kind of fan out around you, and several of them have arrows leveled at you. And one of them steps forward and says, "State your business. What brings you here to the walls?"
These walls in particular?
The old walls, the walls of the old world. Yes, those walls.
Well, I got 2 friends who passed out, so I needed a roof, and this was the closest. This one's new.
Friends, I see one.
Well, other one's inside, under the roof.
What brings you here?
I kind of showed up here this morning, and I can't exactly explain why or how, but a lot of that's been happening today, some magic stuff, and I'm still real confused about it right now. I'm really just worried about this. Gesturing with the body of my friend who's passed out. So if it's all the same to you, I'm not about to harm any, we could be friends.
Most people who pass through this area are not friends. But we may have more to discuss. And he kind of nods to 2 at the end, and they nod quickly and duck inside the house. And a moment later, you hear a whistle. And one comes back out to the door and says, "There's one inside. Just as they say."
And he's hurt kind of bad, so
And the one who's been talking to you looks to the one in the door, who nods to confirm. And he looks back at you and he says, "Here just for shelter? Just accidents?"
Well, if that phrase, ground swallowing you up, that's almost exactly what happened. So I was somewhere else this morning, and we showed up here.
The
some of
ground
us were hurt.
swallowed you up, and now you are here.
Mm-hmm. Plenty of weird shit happening today that I've not dealt with before. It's very new. Not my doing. I'm not magic, but this one is.
Sierra's just kind of like limply there. And And they kind of look at each other and look around and say, "Magic, you say?"
Yeah. Shiny, sparkly, helpful mostly.
Interesting. You have the one friend inside. And you too?
Yeah?
What of the deer? What is the deer?
Oh, he's friend too.
Not food?
No. Please. That's very sentimental. Very kind, helpful creature. Much more helpful as a living thing than dead.
One of them actually sighs at that, somewhat disappointed, and and they kind of lower their weapons as this kind of somewhat burly one nods and says, "You come to our camp tonight."
All right.
We will help with your friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Anything we should bring along? I mean, I'm not much help trying to hunt in dark, but especially not with a person.
Do you have coats?
I think I got I feel like we left like bags or something, whatever we had on us. Maybe inside. Yeah, whatever we had on us was would probably be just right in that first room.
I think Skylar would have left her medical kit, and you would just hear a sound coming from behind Brund that's like, "Don't forget my med bag!"
And the man stops and immediately, like, arrows go back up.
And you just hear it. Eep!
Oh, there's another one. Wait. Because Sven did not see Skylar go and hide. At all. So looking around, they're like,
There's more. Fan out. And, like, two people, like, kind of, they split off from this main group and are kind of sweeping the yard. And, Skylar...
you know, that's kind of shiftier than just talking to them wherever you are.
I think Skylar would step out from behind our stag friend.
As you do.
Just like,
yeah. Two of them, they level arrows at you. And,
Last friend, I swear.
Oh, you swear now?
I mean, I didn't...
What?
What were you hiding for?
they were here with weapons. Why would I not hide? I take care of people after the fact, not before.
I was gonna say, Renee, what did you roll for?
I don't know.
What's gonna happen?
3d6.
A mystery.
So I'm not good at typing out commands in Roll20 tonight, apparently. And this person with this arrow aimed at you is just, you know, holding it level as they look at you, Skylar. They have this crown of metal bent around their head, and they have a scarf that has been kind of pulled up over their face and around their neck. All of them are wearing, like, longer sleeved clothing.
Can I actually use one of my, like, talenty skill things to get more information, like a better read about them? Because
Yes.
I can read the way Dynama reacts around people.
Yes. So,
The
Yeah.
ultimate insight check.
It is. It is very much like an insight check. So you're familiar somewhat with the way that Dynama moves around people, and when you see it, you see like a shift in color around people with darker intent. It's somewhat like an aura that you are able to read because you can see the dynamo where others can't. And at some points it spikes and reacts, some points it shifts in color. And you can see all of them have like kind of spiking dynama around them. And it's a orange in color, which is an interesting one. It's very like it's like they're very alert and they're very on edge, very like high stress, but not necessarily aggressive.
Okay. And I think she's going, I'm sorry. We didn't realize that we were not supposed to be here.
And as you kind of put up your hands, they kind of like breathe a little bit of a sigh, but they say, and there are really no more of you?
Not here.
Not here? So yes.
Well, we're being completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like the best route to go.
Mm-hmm.
We've had 2 friends that went to go find something to eat, but they ain't not back yet.
I see. Your friends, when do you expect them back?
I mean, I use the term friend kind of loosely. We've only known each other for like 12 hours. So I don't know.
I see. You will gather your belongings and you will come with us.
Okay. Do you have anything to eat?
Plenty.
Oh, okay. and Skylar would go inside to go get her stuff.
Okay, yeah. You pass these 2 in the door, and one of them is over by Mare and is kind of like looking him like head to toe. He's just completely passed out. The other has like branched off into other rooms of the house, and you hear like doors slamming and moving about in some of these other rooms. Fen, several of them come up to you, and one of them kind of offers to take Sierra, not in so many words, but they've like thrown their bow over their shoulder, and they say, "We can carry her."
You know, I think I'd best carry our other friends, so thank you for the help. And we'll hand her over for now. Not really sensing any ill intent, but really thinking to look for any.
Yeah.
And gonna follow Skylar back into the abode.
And I think Skylar would immediately notice this person poking around at Mare, and her demeanor would change quite a bit, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And she would go up to him, she's like, you better be careful, I put a lot of work into this.
I can see. This salve you put on is very professional.
It's not really my best work.
It's not for pain.
No, I don't have the stuff at the moment. I was out, but it should take away some of the wounds produce heat when they're healing, and it's very uncomfortable. So at least cooling it down I just wanted to help him sleep.
No, very smart to work with what you have. We may have some herbs back at our camp, though, that will help you and help him. Do you have a way to transport him?
No. I mean, is Fen in there?
Arriving as we speak.
She's like, obviously I'm not. He's a big dude. You know.
I got him.
Fen, you got it? I don't know. Don't jostle him too much, though. Those stitches are new.
I got it. And very, very gently, I'll pick him up, making sure to, follow any and all instructions.
These supplies are yours as well?
Yeah, that's my bag. I mean, I don't put everything's don't. And she kind of closes it. And she's like, it's very particularly organized.
Of course. We will grab several more things from the house and be with you shortly. And
what?
Ducks away. She says, "Oh, you have not been in many of these. There is plenty to loot." And then she kind of ducks away, and you hear more doors open and close. And a few moments later, they come out with their arms full of just stuff.
And I think Skylar would take a really close look at the stuff, trying to figure out what's the stuff that one would loot from this location.
So you see a box of things. It's a wooden box set on top of this stack of essentially clothes. They are clothes. They don't look anything like what you would wear now. In fact, they're very strange. One of them holds up a coat kind of to show you what it looks like, and it's very weathered fabric, but she holds up this beautiful dark cloak with kind of a fluffy lining to it that's kind of been beaded together but looks very warm. And she says, do you have a cloak? It gets dark and it gets cold.
And I actually think Skylar would. She's used to sleeping in the woods. She's probably got. She maybe even pulls it out of her bag.
I didn't pack much of anything this morning. So if you're offering.
Yeah, and so she kind of goes over and hands it to you, Fen, and lays it across your arms. And there's this chest on top of this pile, and a couple of other small, strange things. Some you recognize. They look just somewhat different than the things you use on day-to-day basis. Like a brush is lying across the top of these clothes, but it's made of a different material than the combs that you usually see. But its use is pretty evident, and they both kind of put these things into packs and cinch them up and throw them over their shoulders, and they say, "You ready?"
Yeah, just make sure we get his bag. It was over by the door.
Ah, yes. And one of them goes to pick it up, make sure that the flap is closed, and slings it over her shoulder.
Yeah. Kind of looking around. Did Sierra have a bag?
Sierra did not have a bag. Yeah, she actually stuck her things in your bags.
Okay.
So she didn't have anything with her.
All right.
And with one last glance around this kind of dilapidated home, you all step outside, and the sun is now just a thin line of light on the horizon. It's much darker now, and the air is brisk and chipper. but they light some torches. And
I think Skylar would wave over Brund. They had a moment.
Brund reluctantly comes. And the one that has lifted up Sierra, and they've kind of gotten Sierra up on her back so that she's kind of like almost like piggyback, but just kind of like slumped over this person's shoulder. She kind of comes up and falls in step with you, Fen, as you carry Mare so that she is not far from sight. And they carry her and begin to walk. Torches lit in the night, wandering down the streets. Umiko, Magda has been sharing glances with you and trying to read your reaction.
And Ueko just every now and then just smiles at her and just shakes her head.
And I think every time she checks, she kind of like, because it's not the response that she necessarily wants, but also she understands. So she just like very stiff and very tense is following this group of 3 people. And 2 of them are kind of behind you. They are not pointing their weapons at you any longer, but they do have that kind of they're encouraging you to move forward just by their presence behind you. And the one who spoke to you longest at the lake leads the way. And as they go, you suddenly realize that there is a much larger group of people waiting for them. And Umiko, because you knew how many people you had encountered earlier, you recognize that the number is the same. There are 12 of them, just like the dozen you had encountered in the streets of the neighborhood.
And she will let them lead her. She will just go with them until they do anything in particular, but she will stay silent.
And as you kind of approach this group of a dozen, several of them like whistle, but it's a different whistle than you've heard from them before. Instead, it's kind of like a long and low whistle, and one of them says, "Well, new folks in the area, that's not something you see every day." And one of them, younger and shorter, kind of comes up to you, Umiko, and looks up at you and just says, "What? Where did you come from? How did you get here? How did we not know you were here?" And one of them, the one in front, kind of like puts a hand on their head and just like pushes them away and says, "Patience. We're taking them back for a chat. We'll find out the answers soon enough."
Was this like a child?
He looks like a child, yes. Like a teenager, but definitely shorter than you and younger.
Yeah, Ueko will probably just wave at them as they get pushed aside, but with a friendly face, not like a sarcastic thing. She's genuinely like...
Oh yeah, they break out into this like kind of goofy grin and just like they fall silent because they were just told off a little bit, but they're just like and several of the others are kind of like this. They're all talking to each other and looking back and forth, and the one in front steps forward and says, "That's right, they're coming back with us tonight. So I hope everyone has a good haul." And a couple of them hold up the animals that they have caught. One of them actually does have 2 geese that they've just kind of like tossed over their shoulder, and Magda mutters something under her breath. But they seem to accept that you have joined them for this evening excursion. And he turns around to each of you and just says, it's about a half-hour walk. Are you prepared for that?
And Umiko looks very confused that they're concerned they only need to walk half an hour. Was it? Yes, that will be fine.
Yeah, Magda's kind of like, why would that not be fine? And
Do you get
just
kind of easily?
He nods. He says, you'll forgive me. You don't look exactly like the type we have passing through here most frequently.
Well, what is the type you normally come across?
Bandits.
Do I
Like
look like
us.
a bandit?
You don't.
Thank you.
And they kind of gather around you, and the younger one kind of comes up next to you, Umiko, and is just like looking at you and says, your hair's wet.
It is. I fell in a lake.
Oh. And he looks over at the other one. Bastion, did you make them fall in a lake? And the he smiles and kind of nods. He says, yeah, it was pretty funny. You would have enjoyed it. And the kid kind of smiles and laughs a little bit and looks over at Magda and says, you didn't fall in a lake. She said, no. And then he kind of like looks at her arms and goes, you got attacked by geese. And she just like simmers. And they start walking with you. And Umiko, this kid is kind of chatting with you along the way. A couple of times the others will hush him. But he just, continues to chat and tells you all about the rabbit that he saw earlier and how he was going to get it, but it got away just by like a few hairs, and next time for sure he's gonna get it, and he's gonna come home and his parents are going to be so proud of all that he's done on the patrols. And like they laugh and they encourage it as they lead you after some time away from these houses and away from this neighborhood. You still see some of those structures occasionally, but they're much fewer and far between, with some fences around the property as they kind of like lead you over those. And at one point, Bastion is what they called him, reaches a hand out to you to kind of help you over this fallen fence.
And she probably not ignores it, she doesn't notice it because she's just following and just starts climbing over anyway.
And he kind of shrugs and does the same to Magda, and Magda just glares at him and steps over it by herself. And he just folds his hand back up and says, suit yourself, and continues on. And as you pass through this fence, you pass another low hanging building, but that's not the most noticeable thing about this area. Now that you've gotten away from some of the city and some of the houses of the neighborhood, you see many more trees. A lot like the park you were just at, but it's not just set aside in a small space among all of these buildings. Instead, it's just an expanse of trees and nature, all of a sudden very different from what you'd been traveling through this morning. And the most noticeable thing about it are the buildings built into the trees. They're not like what you see or where you live. In fact, they're made of metal. And in some cases, it looks like they're made from large machines that have been patchworked together into these metal structures. And they're not just on the ground, though some are, but a number of them are actually built into the trees and around the trees. these metal staircases and ramps wrap themselves around the trunks and up to these buildings in the branches where these large metal rods, like you'd seen earlier as you walked down the street, actually prop these structures up further into the air. And they're all lit with kind of a warm glow now that the sun has gone down. And there's several fires lit around the camp. And Bastion gestures and says, "Welcome to our home."
And Umiko just nods and, "Thank you."
Hungry?
"Starving. Have you got my fish?"
I thought you had your fish.
And she sort of pats around and like, "Okay, no, I have. Can I cook it on one of your fires, please?"
He says, "Yes, you may. Everyone, gather them all for dinner. We'll divide up what we have and share with our guests." And sure enough, the kid who'd been traveling with you starts to like run off and knock on some of the doors of the structures, and they open and people come out dressed in the same kind of attire that you see them in. It's very strange. It's the same kind of clothing that you saw them, or that it's not clothing like you've ever seen before, actually. It's actually like really hard to describe. Golly gee, I keep talking myself into these situations. But they come out and there are a couple dozen people now that this group has rejoined this camp, and these dozen people come out and start to swarm around the fires, and a couple of them approach the group and take some of the animals that they have hunted for the day and peel off from them. And Bastion kind of gestures to a fire for you, Umiko, and Magda seems a little bit more relaxed now that they're around this group of people, and now that they don't seem to be hostile so much as hungry and ready for food. And Bastion leads you over to the fire, Umiko.
And she'll sort of head over there, crouch, and immediately start gutting this fish and getting something to put it on and put it over the fire. Just say, "Thank you," as she's reached into probably... She doesn't have a knife herself, but she's probably found one from somewhere.
Oh, Magda has one on hand. Yeah, so she'll hand that over, and Bastion kind of hands you some steaks so that you can roast this fish over the fire. And they're metal steaks, but they're long and thin. And as you are cooking this fish, you see the young kid go by and says, "Oh, Bastion, they're back!" And sure enough, another group is approaching out of the wooded trees, and you see a number of people. It's about 7 people with them, and you recognize the form of Brund with them, as well as Skylar, Fen, and a still unconscious Sierra and Murray.
Umiko will probably jump up and run to Brund and probably like throw her arms around his neck and just probably whisper to him a little bit, and then look to the others. Like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And then see Sierra like, What did you do to her, Skylar?"
Me? Why would you think I did anything?
You were having a sass argument last time I was gone.
That just because I don't agree with her lifestyle doesn't mean that, like, I'm gonna, like, murder her in her sleep.
Well, I didn't go that far. I just asked what you did to her.
She just passed out. I don't know. Nothing.
I think she got passed out.
But
I was there.
You're all okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're.
Brund.
Yeah. Tried to poke me in the eye, you know.
Oh, he nuzzles like that.
He was being very nice.
Mm. He's a good boy. And she's like patting him on the side. I caught fish and met some strangers. I see you did too.
Yeah, I mean, we did the strangers part, but not the fish part.
We found geese.
Magda has run up and is looking at, he's like over by Mare, and at the mention of geese says, "Oh, we found geese."
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's pretty stable. I think he just needs a good nap.
He looks better and looks up at Fen and just says, "Thank you for bringing him."
I wasn't gonna leave him there.
It's
I
that
think they would have either, to be honest. Pointing to the people around. The many people now.
And the kid now has run up next to you, Umiko, and says, "Oh, new people too. There are so many new people today."
Do you not get new people through here?
No,
Why?
who would come here?
Me?
Where
my
is here?
Sure.
Here, well, I mean, we have a name for it, but it's not really a place on many maps. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you. Am I allowed to tell you? And like the kind of the bulky one is like looking and just goes,
And I look towards the body.
"I don't think I'm allowed to tell you."
I mean, that's okay. You don't have to tell us. That's.
I mean, or you could.
Don't force the child. He's been told. Like, it's all right.
We're surrounded by people with.
Yeah, who offered to give us food and a place to sleep for the night, so I think...
Oh, my fish! And she just suddenly runs back towards the fire at the mention of food.
The kid follows you too, because like food sounds great, and runs over next to you and says, "Wow, you caught this?"
Yes. Why? Have you not caught fish before?
No, I haven't caught fish, but I also missed the rabbit earlier. Are you okay? Your leg is bleeding.
Oh, it'll be fine. Like, she's just waiting until she can, like, see Skylar, like, right? She's like, it's fine, like, pulling, like, her overall, like, leg sort of down.
And Magda is kind of, like, talking with the person who's carrying Sierra now, and just says, "Is there a place we could put them?" And she nods and she says, "No, there should be several buildings that are unoccupied right now. We could put you up in for the evening. Here, I will ask Bastian and I will get back to you." And so she kind of like or she nods to someone else really and sends them instead, while she's still kind of cradling Sierra, like this like figure just like hunched over her shoulders. And so she just like walks further into the camp and leads you all in as well. And people have started cooking the food and passing out like these plates and forks, and they pass some to you as they go around in the circle and start to kind of like pass out pieces of food.
And I think, like, through a full mouth, Skylar's like, "Oh, crap, this isn't so bad."
Amelia will eat, but she's also just watching everything. But she's probably not allowed, but she's dragged Brund up anyway, just to stand just behind them.
I've just followed whoever Because I'm like, I need a
Good.
place to put this guy that is like safe and preferably soft.
Yeah, just after just a few moments, Bastion approaches you all again and sees the two of you. 3, 4, however many of you are new. 2 of them are unconscious. They don't count. And he walks up to you and just says, welcome. This is so strange. Sorry. We just don't welcome people often. I'm Bastion, and we can get you set up in one of the north homes. These companions of yours, do they need further medical attention?
Looking at Skylar.
Oh, actually, somebody, I don't know who it was, and she looks around for the person she was talking to in the room. She's like, somebody mentioned that you might have some medical herb supplies. My stash is running a little low of certain things, but I'm pretty good at that kind of thing. So.
We do. We can get you what you need if you tell us, or assuming we have it in the area. Would you like me to take you to the home? I don't know if you'd like to get them set up before we have a longer conversation.
I think that'd be best.
Yeah, and I think Skylar would immediately start kind of looking through her bag, figuring out what she needs so she can, like, basically rant off a list.
Yeah. And the one carrying Sierra just follows Bastion as he leads all of you kind of over to this. It's a large, low structure built around the base of about 3 trees. And he opens the metal door, which creaks as it opens. And inside the space, it's warmly lit with 2 small, round metal tables that have, like, candles on them. And further inside, in each of these kind of like 3 spaces, are bedrolls. He says, there are 6 in here. It's a small place, and really it's used for some of our more nomadic members who travel through and never stay too long, but I hope it is sufficient.
Skylar looking around. This is a lot nicer than most of the places I stay at, so
I'm happy to hear it. And so he kind of goes over and he takes some of the candles that are already lit and lights a few of the other candles around the room so that it's all very well lit in a warm glow. And these the person carrying Sierra comes in and like lays her out on one of the bedrolls and kind of makes sure that a pillow is propped beneath her head, and like kind of checks her temperature and realizes she's very warm, and so just kind of leaves a blanket folded at the end of the bed. And Magda says, Can we lay him down? Can I
For sure, yeah.
Can I get a
next to Sierra at least?
better look at him? And so as you lay him down, she kind of looks at the wound and just says, Skylar, you did this?
people keep asking me that a lot lately. Yeah. This is what I do. She gestures to her bag.
I guess I feel blessed is the right word. We'd be screwed without you. And She kind of like sets down her things and makes sure that Mare's pack is next to him. Gets it from the person who'd been carrying Sierra, and like sets up her kind of spot just a little ways away. And she still kind of has the plate that has just a little bit of meat piled on it as she's kind of like eating at it and just watching him from a distance.
If all of the strangers have left, Umiko will probably allow herself to limp briefly and just be, Skylar, can I have some help, please?
Yeah, I think Bastion and the others kind of like ducked out, and he said, I'll give you a moment to settle in and be back after dinner.
And Skylar immediately goes to Umiko. She's like, why didn't you say something sooner?
I
might be good at this, but I don't like, sense blood immediately.
I don't want them knowing I can't run.
Oh, I get you.
She's just like, but otherwise, this actually really hurts.
Oh.
Stings.
Well,
She pulls up this, leg on her overalls, her baggy over the top overalls, and pulls down these ridiculously woolly socks. It hurts.
Oh golly, what did you do?
I fell over and then I sat in a very dirty pond.
Oh,
with an open wound.
goodness.
I know that's a bad thing, but I don't know why.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We'll worry about that later. And Mrs. Hotter Than Thou is passed out, so we can't sterilize anything either.
Right, that's exactly what I wanted.
We have fire. If they need to make anything hot, we do have fire.
I mean, I can clean it, and she starts to pour water in her hand.
Okay, oh, hold on a second, and I think Skylar would go back to her kit to try it.
She looks over at Finn I'm just trying to be helpful. I don't know.
Sit down.
Oh, okay. And she'll probably when you try and keep the bad leg slightly straight and just flump down. So that's probably what she does.
It actually makes that noise, flump.
Yeah.
These bedrolls are pretty comfortable. They're a good thickness, about 2 inches or so. That's the best unit of measurement I've got right now. So they're but they're pretty thick and reasonably comfortable, very firm, but much better than just a mat or a plain ground.
And Umiko might just bounce on top of it a little bit, that's comfy.
Will you sit still?
Sorry, my cat is also unhappy that I started moving.
Oh no.
Literally a pause just gone. No. Oh my.
And Skylar would take a look and see what she could do about it.
Yeah. So, Skylar, with the herbs you have, you can do a number of things, because established by your roll earlier, you don't really have anything for the pain, but you still know what general procedure would be as far as cleaning and dressing a wound like this.
Mm-hmm.
So right now your supplies are a bit limited, though.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's what she'd do. She'd try and sterilize, and if it was deep enough, sew it up like she had done previously.
Yeah, it's a pretty good-sized gash. Definitely nothing fatal or life-threatening, but
chop
just
it off.
yeah, just
I can't grow a new one.
Wait, Alice doesn't need multiple legless characters.
Yes, it's happening Curse of Strahd. I do not want to be another pirate.
So she would dress it and all of that kind of stuff, and she would just turn to Umiko and say, they're supposed to be getting me some stuff to help with the actual pain of it, but I don't have it at the moment, but when they get here and when I mix up something for for him, I'll give you something too.
Whereas Umako's like, yeah, no, it's fine. It doesn't hurt at all. Like, she's really wincing.
Magda just kind of puts her plate down with the fork on it, and it clatters a little bit. What do we think of this? Do we trust them? Do we not trust them?
We be aware.
Maybe they could tell us where we are.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they know a lot more about what's going, on around here than we do. And I think at minimum we should be trying to get some information out of them.
I mean, so far they just want to talk.
Yeah, so we let them.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think if they were gonna, stab us and eat us, they would have done that already.
Stood on my fish.
That's unfortunate.
It's rude, not unfortunate. He did it on purpose.
Yeah, Magda's kind of like simmering. She's just like, so far, all they've really done is acted rude and at least not hostile.
They pointed an arrow at me. Like, she's looking over at Magda, like...
Fair. I have not had any reason to draw a dagger on them, though. I would have several times.
Yeah, they didn't really threaten us until I popped out from behind Brund.
What were you doing behind Brund?
Hiding!
Why?
They did look kind of threatening coming down the...
A big bunch of strangers with weapons comes down the street. Of course I'm going to hide.
See? Threatening. Like, looking over at Magda again. I could not say that.
Threatening, not hostile.
I mean, I get a good vibe. There's a vibe here. And it's an okay one. It's not like a positive, happy vibe, but it's,
Okay, do you like what's the deal with vibes? Do you vibe?
I mean,
what does that mean?
I mean, we've already established that I can I don't know, read the Dynama, and it does things around people too, and it kind of lets me know if I'm in a bad situation or not,
Right.
So they definitely didn't. I think they're ready to pounce if we pounce, but I don't think they're gonna pounce first, if you know what I mean.
You probably shouldn't tell them you could do that.
I didn't. I told
No,
you guys.
I'm just saying. I'm being attacked.
Sweaty
They're
daggers.
hostile.
As a moment of pain spikes up Umika's leg from the edge.
What a wound.
Ow. After a little bit of this conversation, there is a knock at the door.
I guess we let them in.
Go on, open the door.
And you recognize the one who carried Sierra back, and she looks over at Skylar and just, hey, I was told to come and ask you what herbs you need.
Oh, and Skylar goes, oh, yes, my list. And she takes out a piece of paper and she starts reading off a couple of things.
Yes. Yes, no. Yes. Yes, we have most of that. I can fetch it for you, but Bastian would also like me to fetch you. If you are done with dinner and settled in, would you come and speak to him?
Yeah, but if actually when you go and grab this one, and she's like, can you bring it straight to us? I need to make my I want to get started on making some things for the pain of my friend over there.
Why? There's nothing wrong. And she's like trying to grab blankets to cover her.
You know, my friend that's over there passed out with a wound in his side.
Yes, that's exactly what I was referring to. Just
nods and she says, should I tell Bastian to expect you soon or
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing anything else.
first? Okay. I will be right back and you can dress the wound and then I will show you to Bastian's cabin. And she kind of like ducks out after a second and goes to get the herbs. And like a few seconds later, there's another knock at the door.
I haven't moved from the door. Just left it open.
You know, Fen, you're mighty handy to have around.
The younger teen that walked with you, Umiko, most of the way, is standing there at the door with like this kind of sheepish grin on his face.
Why are you smiling like that?
Oh, I just, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. Can I come in?
I guess.
Great. And like, he sneaks in and like, slowly shuts the door behind him and then like goes to one of these, they're kind of like slatted windows and like peeks outside and like looks around and is just like, okay, I don't think they saw.
You're not meant to be here?
Oh, I don't really know. This is a bit like, this is different. This is different than what normally happens here. And I don't know. It's kind of cool. You know?
Well, we are expecting someone back soon.
Is your arm metal?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's just kind of like, yeah, cool.
And they kind of like come in and sit down a little bit and they say, yeah, I guess I wanted to make sure that you got enough to eat. And I brought some water skins. I didn't know if you had them, but and he kind of pulls out some fresh water and passes them to you.
Oh, thank you. My frog would love that. And just opens her water skin and starts topping up hers.
You have a frog? Can I see?
Oh, yes. Okay. And she sort of just reaches in and pulls out this frog.
He was like, wow.
You've not
it's so cute.
Frog before?
No, I mean, I've seen a frog before. It's just, they're really cute.
Rinse off your hands before you touch your leg after touching that thing.
Why? There's nothing wrong with my leg.
Is there something wrong with your leg?
There's nothing wrong with my leg. As she puts the frog back in.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. Well, so how... Well, no. You know, I have a lot of questions. I don't know if I should be asking you questions. They're probably going to ask you a lot of questions. Like,
do you have any idea what kind of questions?
Well, like normal questions, like, who are you? How did you get here?
Skylar, been wandering around a while. Wandered here. Okay. Those are easy.
I mean,
Skylar.
I tried to tell him where we came from, but I don't know how to describe that stuff.
I'm guessing the Dynama pool didn't translate very well.
I don't know what that is.
Okay. Well, okay.
I'm Jaren. Skylar?
Yeah.
And they reach out and like shake your hand, but like very like very fervently, and just
You've
like
got a lot of energy.
Oh, yeah, I get told that a lot. I think that's one of the reasons they started sending me out on patrols earlier than most people get to go on patrols. 'Cause they say that it's good for me and that I bother people less. I go out on patrol first. So, but I don't really feel like that's true. I feel like if I'm gonna bother someone, I'm gonna bother someone, you know? And so I just wanted to come bother you and see if you were friends.
Well, I asked to be a friend, and they told me that I was a stranger.
Oh, well, you can be my friend. Well, actually, I don't know your name. That actually might make you a stranger.
You shouldn't talk to strangers.
Oh. Skylar's not a stranger. I can talk to her.
Exactly.
Well,
she
Ben,
sort of
we're
grins.
not strangers anymore.
She grins slightly and is like, "My name is Umiko."
And Jaden looks like visibly relieved, like when you introduce yourself as Umiko, and he just kind of like, cool.
See, I can be bothersome too.
I like that it's not just me.
I had a lady who lived near me who was bothersome.
Oh,
She wasn't that bad. Do you cook pie?
I don't cook pie. I've never cooked pie.
That's probably a good thing. Okay. I'm just asking.
Am I better than the lady?
Oh gosh, yes. Much
Oh.
much better.
Okay, you should tell people that. I think that they might maybe think, like, they might not, I might not be a bother if they know, like, what a bother really is, and I don't know, you should tell them that I'm not a bother.
I will tell them you're not a bother.
Thanks, you're cool. I like that you're here. This is really neat.
I have never been cool in my life. Ever.
They're probably gonna ask you a lot of questions, but I don't know a lot. They don't tell me a lot of things. They just let me go on patrols now, and I still haven't actually caught anything, so I'm working on it. I'm gonna get my first rabbit soon, probably this week. We'll see. But I wanted to let you know that, I wanted to be your friend. And I'm glad you're here, because it's cool to have people from outside. And ones that don't seem to be trying to kill us, you know?
Does that happen a lot?
Sometimes.
Oh, that's rough.
We don't have a lot of people pass through here, for a lot of reasons. It's not really on, like, the traveled roads, and, well, it's kind of getting close to... Well, it's getting close to the machines. A lot of machines.
Yeah.
Patrol for?
Some. Yeah, I mean, we patrol for machines, we patrol for food, we patrol for protection, just people too. We patrol to loot some of the places in the area when we need, more supplies, and sometimes we can make trades with the things that we find. So yeah, the patrols are for a lot of reasons, but yeah, a lot of it's the machines.
You know we were by that big hole in the ground with the lots and lots of machines. Is that new, or has that been here a while?
And Jaden's
You know?
face, like, it's very wide and, like, wide-eyed, and he says, "You saw the decay?"
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what we call it, at least. Well, I wasn't gonna say anything about it, because it's kind of like, it's not very common knowledge, and it's one of the reasons there aren't a lot of people that come up this direction. but that's another reason we patrol. You saw it. You saw what it looks like with the machines.
We almost fell into it. It was really.
Oh, it's a good thing you didn't. It's pretty dangerous. The whole area is.
Yeah, we skedaddled out of there real quick. But do you know anything else about it? Do you know, like, are there stories about it? And she immediately goes into her bag and, like, pulls out her notebook.
Jaden says, well, we tell stories about it, but I haven't listened to the stories as much since I started patrolling. We watch it. We watch as it grows. And we watch the machines inside of it. We make notes on their movements and on the decay and where it is. So we keep an eye on it, but
it gets bigger?
It does.
Oh. She looks at Fen. That's unnerving.
It's strange. It's dangerous, and a lot of the city has succumbed to it already. It spreads far. We don't know how far. It's difficult to travel in. Well, there are machines every couple of feet for one thing, but then also it burns. It makes you cough, and it makes your skin burn, and it's really dangerous. So we try to just make note of where it ends and to watch it as it grows and to stay away to the best of our ability. I think most of the stories are that it's a home for machines, or that it's a rebel Dynama that has burned the land that it once nurtured. I don't really know exactly what's true, but I know that when I saw it, I stopped listening to stories because, well, once you see it, it becomes more real.
Oh, I hear you on that. I wouldn't have believed it unless I'd seen it myself. It's like a wound in the earth.
Exactly. It's a lot like that, like a wound in the earth that just keeps spreading.
Oh. And she turns to look at Fen and she's like, what if it doesn't stop spreading?
And then there's a knock at the door. And Jaden, like, kind of freezes a little bit and, like, comes and stands over, like, behind the wall of the door.
Here, I can, like, open the door and he can be behind it. Wink at him.
He just, like, smiles, but he's, like, being very quiet and, like, not responding. And the girl is there at the door, and she has all of the herbs in, like, small pouches and hands them to you and, like, tells you their name as she passes them to you, Skylar. And she apologizes again for the one that she couldn't find, that they didn't have in stock currently. But she says, I understand you want to aid your friend, and that you might be able to make something for the pain now. But, Bastian would like to see you soon, before you sleep.
It should only take a couple of minutes. Now that I have what I need. Is there somewhere we should, go when we're done? Or
yes. I can show you, but if you are not worried, the tree in the center has a spiral stair and a rail. And if you go up into the trees, it is the building with the tracker's head above it.
I doubt we'll have trouble finding that. You got that, Fen?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I will tell him to expect you shortly. And
Awesome.
she ducks out, and Jaden like sighs with relief as the door closes, and is just like, "Okay, I should probably head out. Good luck talking to Bastion. He's cool. You'll be fine. But maybe don't mention I said anything about the decay. It's kind of one of our better kept secrets."
Yeah, I mean, we saw it ourselves, so we can play it off. It'll be fine.
Yeah, okay, good, because I wasn't going to say anything until you said something, but then I felt like I could say something, so, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, okay, friends?
Friends.
Bye, friend.
And
Friends.
they smile and, like, duck out and close the door behind them, and, like, you hear kind of rustling as he scampers away.
Sven kind of
And-
turns around from closing the door. I'm kind of like, secret?
Is anybody else thoroughly freaked out?
I mean, why would they keep it a secret? Why not warn people about it?
I don't know.
There's something they're not telling us.
Definitely. I don't know if the boy would have known, though.
No, he doesn't necessarily seem like he's in the loop.
Well,
Magda kind of shrugs. I wouldn't be surprised if most of them weren't in the loop. This Bastion, though, that
Yes, I don't like him.
he might likely know more than the rest of them.
when we go up there, I'll keep an eye on him and see if the Dynama tells us anything.
It's not a bad idea.
But let me get this done real quick.
Yeah, and as you work, could you roll me an intelligence challenge or flames challenge of 2 to tend to these wounds, with whatever you believe should be added to your dice pool.
Can I add 2? One for my healing beyond the Dynama skills. So I've studied anatomy and medicine, and then my knowledge of the plants themselves.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so 5. Wait, no, 6?
6.
So you have a flame
yeah,
suit.
because it's flames too. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect.
All the successes.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, you're good, because that's, I think, 4 successes. So, that's an epic success. So if you'd like to explain how you work on these wounds, what that looks like.
So I think she's taking out a lot of the herbs that had been dropped off, and then probably looks at Umiko and is like, can you do that the thing?
Okay, and she just gathers her hands and just this little bit comes up.
And I think Skylar's actually pulled like a mortar and pestle and is grinding everything together, and she actually takes Umiko's hands and brings them over and like opens them, like the water falls into the mortar and pestle, finishes grinding it up to a paste, and then applies that both to Mare's wound and to Umiko's leg.
Yeah. And as you're doing this, Magda kind of is just like playing a little bit with the fork and watching you do this, and just says, "Hey, I know they want us to go talk to Bastion and whatever, but feel more comfortable if someone was here with him and I guess with her. What's wrong with her?
Really?
You know, that's a great point. I haven't even checked. I should do that. Give me a second.
She kind of was just staring off into the woods and then looked up at me and then passed out. I don't think I'm that scary, but you know.
I mean, she's already described that she might have a delicate constitution, so.
All right.
But I'll take a look at that too. Goodness, you guys are keeping me busy.
Glad you're
Skylar,
here.
as you look at Sierra, you see the Dynama is kind of spiking wildly around her.
Oh. Like the aura?
Yes.
Oh, she seems to be mentally distressed somehow. I don't know. That's actually kind of scary. I don't see anything really medical wrong, but she's still feeling kind of bad.
And
I wonder.
she's there's nothing really physical really that you can tell, but like you just it's almost like that feeling of like eyes moving quickly behind eyelids, but with this like magic that's surrounding her is reacting a bit like that.
I think there's something we could. I don't know. You know, there's those nice smelling oils that some people can calm down with. Just having them around.
Oh,
Have
I mean,
nice smelling oils.
I have some herbs.
I'm not sure if there's much I can do. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I could try to wake her up, but working with the mind is not the same as working with the body. I wouldn't want to do. If I don't completely understand what's going on, I could send her farther into a tailspin.
I could stay here and keep an eye on them.
Let's let her rest, and if she doesn't snap out of it, and by the morning, hopefully she's just having a bad dream or something. If she doesn't snap out of it by the morning, I'll see if I can do something with the Dynama to wake her up.
I do feel
Okay.
better with having someone here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, between your brother and hot stuff, probably really should make sure nobody comes snooping in our things at least.
Oh, I can do that. For sure. I'm not gonna say that I want to use a knife, but I kind of want to use a knife, so I don't have a problem either way.
I appreciate that.
And she kind of like pushes herself up against one of the metal walls, like against a pillow, and does like pull out one of her knives and like a sharpener, and just like starts kind of like strumming the knife along it. It's not the right word. I don't really know. Like, word is escaping me. But yeah, so just like sharpening this knife little by little, and she just says, "Yeah, I'll keep an eye on them. Pass along to what was Bastion that I'm with them."
I think he'll understand.
Well, okay. I think I'm all cleaned up here.
If you're ready, I say we go.
Yeah, Umuko, how's the leg feeling?
It's fine. And but she does sort of. Oh, I would quite like a hand up if that's okay.
Now for your hand.
Yes, thank you. Why now, Hildy? Why now?
Because, Mom, you're busy.
Because I'm screaming. I've been asleep all day.
I think that graciously my cat has curled up behind the green screen, which she did knock askew, but not enough to like ruin it.
Mine
I
is
think
not
she's
gracious at all.
asleep
And she's coming
back
back
on
now.
the chair. Oh no.
The menace.
As you leave this like metal cabin, as they called it, you see that a number of people are still kind of loitering out in around the campfires. And Skylar, as you're passing by one of the campfires, there's this like log that has as the fire has died down, there's a log remaining that is untouched by the flame.
And she just notices this right away.
Yes.
And she may even split off from the group a little bit to go wander over there, because when weird things happen, she pays attention.
Yeah, it's a small-ish log, and it looks like it burned with the rest of the fire, but that it didn't burn at all.
And is there anybody around? Or is this kind of an empty fire spot?
This is kind of an empty fire spot. It's the fire has died down and no one is really stoking the flames on this one.
I think she would kind of crouch down and pull it out, probably dusting off the ash to take a better look at it.
And it's warm, but it's regular wood, but you see like the thin veins of Dynama kind of running through it, and you recognize that with this kind of like strengthening to it, this wood would not burn. It could create a flame and have a fire, but it would not burn like regular wood would.
How many times can a Renee say wood?
Wood. How many times would Renee say wood?
And I think if there's nobody around, she would like pocket it in her pouch and then look around probably at the next nearest empty fire to see if there's a similar one there. Like, is this a standard thing that they just have?
Yeah, this is not. This seems to be standalone, or as if it were rolled on a list of trinkets.
And that makes her... I think Skylar has interacted enough with the world and knows that Dynama does weird things for her not to think too much of it, but by checking, she confirms that this isn't maybe not something that the people of this place have like created, because we would have created all more of it. So she's kind of,
I like to imagine
with the group.
Pat and Umiko just like standing over there, like watching as she reaches into a fire, picks up a piece of wood.
She is very strange.
Yeah. I think we're gonna learn to not question it.
Is that the sort of thing? I mean, I know I do things that you guys don't do. Is this just a thing? Do you do this?
No.
Okay. Then we.
By this, I mean reaching in fireplaces. I don't know.
Well, I was always told not to put your hand into a fire, but
Well, at least that one looks a little cooler than the rest.
Yeah, it had died down a lot. It's fine.
Fine.
And this fire is actually pretty close to the center. A couple of people kind of like look at you as you approach, but they continue talking amongst themselves and don't really interfere or intervene. You see Jaden kind of across the way watching and chatting with someone who seems to be his age, and he's doing most of the talking. And the staircase is kind of built of this metal and it winds up kind of like a spiral around the tree up to where this cabin is built. And sure enough, it looks to be made mostly from tracker pieces that have been kind of patched together into these metal walls. It's much bigger than a typical tracker, so presumably it's made from a number of mechs, but it still has the tracker head intact at the top.
Nice. I'm admiring the work as we go up.
And the rib
Oh,
cage,
you don't
for
see
lack of
that
a better
every day.
word, because mechs don't have like rib cages, but like that's like the archway above the door.
Mm.
And the door opens pretty much as soon as you get there, and Bastion is waiting inside. There's a small fire lit in like a little basin, and he welcomes you in, and it is much warmer in here than it was outside. Fen, you might be glad you had that cloak, because it is a little bit nippy.
Mm.
And Bastion kind of greets you all and then gestures for you to sit. He has like this, they're like rugs and pillows that are kind of like settled around this first room. And further in, there's like you can see his own bedroll and like a number of shelves built into the side of the metal, stacked with like books and odd trinkets.
For kind of flavor wise, since I have this cloak, I'd like to think that Finn kind of has it over the metal arm, just like not surreptitiously hiding, but just like, hey, I don't actually have a weapon on me. I'm good. I'm harmless.
Right. And so, yeah, you can kind of use it to hide. It has like this kind of like gaudy blue fur around the edges of it. It's like, it looks like it was very, maybe what someone used to consider fashionable. But yeah, it's just very bright.
Fashion.
Oh, yeah. Weird blue fur. Weird blue faux fur, because it's not real, but it is old. And Bastion kind of greets you all and says, "Would you like anything to drink? I have teas and I have wine."
I'd go for some tea. The cat, no.
I know, I saw it in his face.
Omeko will sort of just sit herself down and probably just pour some water, like drink from her water skin. The second one that she was given, not the one with the frog in.
Right, not the one with the frog in it. Thank you for clarifying. We don't have anyone in chat
frog water.
Drink the frog. And yeah, he goes over to the side table, and there's kind of like a steaming kettle. It looks like a metal kettle, and pours tea for Fen, and just kind of looks to Skylar to check and see if she wants anything.
Sure. I haven't
Tea
had
is-
tea in a minute.
And he pours another, and like these loose leaves are floating in it as he brings it back over to you, and just says, "It might be a little hot. Be careful." I understand you had 4 conscious members of your party?
Oh, Magda's brother is one of the unconscious members, and I really needed her to keep an eye on him to make sure nothing goes south.
I see. Of course. And you received the herbs you need to tend to him, correct?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it, but you know, you never know what's going to happen, so it's always best to keep an eye on things.
I understand better than most. I've led a number of patrols in my life, and Sometimes it goes south when you least expect it or want it to. I'm sure that will not be the case, and we will provide anything we can to keep him comfortable and the rest of you comfortable as well. But I hope that you will be patient with my questions in the meantime.
I mean, I think we can be pretty patient, but, we might have a question or two of our own, seeing as you just kind of, appeared out of thin air around us.
Out of thin air. That's quite the compliment. I'll be sure to pass it on to the patrols. And he pours a cup of tea for himself, and it's just like a small, little wooden cup, and comes and sits down cross-legged on this rug on top of a pillow. And he looks at it and just... You understand, we don't have many people pass through here.
I kind of got that impression from before, but,
Those that do travel through are typically nomads we have met with before, or are bandits we would rather not see.
Well, I mean, I know I live a nomadic-esque lifestyle. I don't know about my companions here, actually, at all. But we just kind of appeared out of thin air. We weren't really, there wasn't really a plan. We were just kind of here.
And we don't even know where here is.
You don't know where here is.
Not a clue.
Appeared out of thin air. Forgive me, I don't take your meaning.
Well, actually, we popped out of pretty dense Dynama, actually.
The Dynama brought you here.
Yeah. I thought there was probably an ulterior motive, too, but haven't figured it out yet.
I am certainly a believer that the Dynama does nothing without reason.
Same!
Interesting. If the Dynama brought you here, where were you before?
So we were, She looks over at everybody else to see if anybody's, uncomfortable, or if she should just keep going. We were in, I was stopping by a town called, Mellowary, and it got attacked by more machines than I'd ever seen up until that point, at least, including the biggest machine I'd ever seen up until that point, at least. And it was really bad. There's a lot of people that didn't make it, but we were trying to run, and the Dynama pool appeared, and I've had a good feeling, and so we jumped, and we popped out here.
I'm sorry to hear that. These machines, they seem to be working together to attack the town?
I mean, I tend to give machines a wide berth. I deal with their aftermath a lot, not really with them. Fenn's our machine expert.
Yeah, I go looking for him, and I still never seen anything like that.
I can't say I like the sound of that.
Yeah, we don't like it either.
Just a moment. And he gets up and goes over back into the other kind of room-ish area. There's not really any doors or separation to these rooms. They're just kind of little they're circle-ish, and then they kind of go into another circle from there. And so he goes over and pulls a book off the shelf and opens it, and then takes a sheaf of paper out of the middle and comes back and unfolds a map across the carpet.
And Skylar is on top of that like nobody's business.
You came from Mellowary, you say?
Yep.
Huh. Okay. And he's kind of like poring over the map, and sure enough, it's hand drawn. It's not printed or anything of the like. And there's kind of like a cluster of trees. He points to that and says, This is where we are now. And there's this like cross-hatched area in red that's just like drawn as like an edge a little bit to the north of where this like tree cluster is, and it's been cross-hatched all the way in red in that area. It's just kind of like a little corner of this map though. And he kind of like runs his finger down. He's checking over some of the dots and some of the names that are written near them, and says, Mellowary. Mellowary is far. Mellowary is a few days' journey. Smaller town, not many people passing through. I'd say we're lucky it's on this map at all. And you say the Dynama showed up there and brought you here?
Yep. I mean, you say a few days, I say about a second and a half.
Huh. I really don't like the sound of that.
Yeah, we didn't really like the look of it either.
And he's kind of like mulling over this map, and he says, the machines, you said they were near Mellowary? In Mass?
In Mellowary.
In Mellowary.
Yeah, so there were some people with interesting ideas about how to function in the world. We're gonna go out to find the machines because they'd been getting closer and closer, and before they left, they never got the chance to go, and the town was attacked. The town. Not like outside of the town, not like a couple people hanging out by the town, like the town.
I suppose my biggest question is, where might these mechs have come from? But if you say there are mechs you had never seen, then I worry you might not be the ones to ask that question of.
Well, there was a lot of... I mean, there was a lot of the standard ones, and then there was that big spider cat thing.
There are 4 of those.
There's 4 big spider cat things.
Well, there was the big one that I don't know, was crushing buildings. I wasn't about to touch that, but
We didn't stick around long enough.
Mech large enough to crush buildings.
Like bugs.
I had not heard word, but then again, if any of my sources in the area were to travel here, news would not have arrived yet. They just simply could not get here that quickly.
Surprise.
So you ended up in the old walls.
Is that what this place is?
That's what we call them. The ruins of the old world.
Yep.
I'm sure that the name varies from place to place, but this region used to be big. There are many walls. Some of them are still standing.
Yeah, we saw quite a lot of it. We actually ended up all the way over here. And she points on the map to the red edge.
You've seen it then.
Yeah, we saw it.
Spooky.
It was the only time I've ever seen more machines than I saw in Mellowary.
Then I think you can understand my greatest confusion. I would be shocked but unsurprised for a coordinated machine attack to affect us here, so near the decay, as we call it. But so far as Mellowary seems unusual, unless... And at that moment, there's a large crash outside. And he immediately is alert, and he runs over and kind of grabs this bow and arrow that he has propped against the wall by the door and opens it up. And there's a scream that cuts through the night.
Looks like we got a nerf.
And
So much for that interrogation.
Bastion swears, and he is out the door, leaving the three of you still sitting around the fire on the rug.
We need
I'm jumping up and at least gonna take a look.
to have a look, and we need to get the others.
Yeah. So you step out, and as you look about, you immediately see the cause of distress. A tree has fallen to the south of this encampment. And standing over the tree is a large mech. It is bear-like in shape and has kind of large paws that have just like trampled this tree beneath it. And its lenses are just alight with this kind of reddish glow that can be seen even without the residual firelight that illuminates the rest of its metal shell. This firelight also illuminates the figure atop it, humanoid in shape, and the figure beneath it, Jaden, as you see a number of other lenses light the edges of the forest. And that is where we are going to close our session for today.
Of course.
Saw that one coming a mile away. Oh crap, I'm gonna have a...
That's why you never trust kids. Everyone always moans at me. They never trust my kid characters. I tell you, it's all of them.
I'm having a hard time dropping the voice because I was doing it for so long.
I have the weirdest voices, like with groups of characters like this is always the hardest thing because there's so many like NPCs that I didn't want to like name, or it's like trying to like keep 4 voices. If I could just do the 4, that's good. I'm gold. But any more than that, please don't make any of them talk. Don't.
Okay, it's time to stop at every single NPC.
Yeah. Hi, how are you doing today? What is your name? Where do you live?
Do you come here often? Can I buy you a drink?
The usual question.
Thank y'all so much for joining us for this episode of Dynama. We did get to definitely some interesting things happened, and so I think I'll go ahead and show off that the boss for this game is the Architect, and what that means remains to be seen. But the Herald involves the decay being introduced today, and the woods is how we ended up at our encampment near the city. So thank you all for joining us for Dynama. We're going to go around and we're going to chat with each of the players and kind of see what their favorite thing was about the session today and where we can find them on the internet. And Kelly, we will start with you.
Oh, hi. I'm Kelly, aka Lane on Twitter. You can find me here on the Academy today, obviously, and Tuesday nights, same time, 10 p.m. EST for our Curse of Strahd game, which Alice is also in, which is a surprisingly happy for something in Barovia. You can also find me Saturdays on Wandering DM, playing Go West, which is a pulp Cthulhu game set in the New Mexico territory. We already ran into something red and blobby and monstery, so we'll see how that goes. We almost burned a house down. Episode 1. It was a great time. My full schedule's on my Twitter. This was great. I love everything about this. I really enjoyed learning more about how they envision the decay, because I think like Skylar comes from this very medical focused background, and she has this vision of how it operates that might not be necessarily accurate, but helps her understand it in a internal way. I also liked getting to play some more with one of her skills. I haven't really done the people reading much. My favorite part, though, was Umiko falling in the water.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. And we're going to go around to Julie, and I hear it is your birthday today?
It is.
What?
As of like 45 minutes ago.
Birthday!
Happy birthday!
Oh my gosh, thank you for kicking your birthday off by playing Dynama with us this week.
So I was like watching how it landed, and I'm just like, yay! I get to be with friends! The first hour of it.
All the more special.
Exactly. So I'm Julie. I go by Jgrave Art just about everywhere online. It's mostly art under that name. I also am Narendor for costume things. I don't know, this is my only game right now, but who knows? I may show up as a guest somewhere else at some point. Most of my Twitter is just yelling about my various games, like home games, and yeah, my favorite bit is hard. I think my favorite bit this time was seeing a bit more of like the area, I guess. Like, I really loved the description, just like going into the town itself with all of the things built into the trees, and it very much fits the woods card. And I don't know, just like being able to picture the setting is so fun to me, and this like blending of the machinery and the nature is so good.
I'm so glad to hear it. I'm gonna skip over to me really quickly, and then we'll go back to Alice so that she can close us out. So hi, I am Renee Rhodes, and I have been your storyteller today. And I am really excited for all of the the quotes that are being dropped in there right now, because I appreciate seeing those. I appreciate like this game in general. It's meant a lot to me so far, and I really, really appreciate the cast, because I've been pretty sick this week and last week, and it makes it that much easier to have a good cast that you can kind of rely on, because you don't feel like you're carrying anything. It's just sharing the game. So that's been been really good. I would say I already dropped my links in the chat and I didn't say anything about them yet, so I guess I'll go over that really fast and say you can find me on Twitter at RayDNR. I do freelance writing and social media work, and I've done a lot of articles for the Scraticus Academy Patreon, which you can check out for free by going to the Patreon. And if you want to contribute, you can get a lot of cool reward tiers for supporting the Academy. So we're trying to grow beyond that monthly goal that was recently hit, and see the Academy grow even further. So you can also find me on my podcast, Fate and the Fable Maidens, which is an all-women, family-friendly actual play podcast. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy it a lot, and we just released our episode from Podcasts of Ravnica, what we recorded as the Selesnya Conclave, and we had all new characters that we created for it and released it as a special since we were at PodCon this weekend and did not have time to fully edit a new episode. So if you'd like to check that out, it was pretty cool. I'm also on a lot of streams. This is actually my first stream this week, but usually you can find me on Nerd Immersion on Mondays playing D&D Rise of Tiamat, on Encounter Roleplay on Tuesdays playing Call of Cthulhu, and then here playing Weave on Wednesdays, and also on my channel Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday playing a variety of video games and chatting. So yeah, thank you. That's me. I think that's it about me. I'm scatterbrained today. Please forgive me. Alice, who are you?
Hello. I'm really sorry about Hildy today. She's still going. So first of all, happy birthday. Like, I'm so glad we got to play with you for like the first hour. Hildy, I swear to God, I will come over there. She's just banging on the door and it's going to wake everyone up.
I will turn this stream around.
Turn the stream around and come, yes, you. I am White Rabbit Pick, that's where you can find me on Twitter. I DM for this channel. I run 3 campaigns, and I'm also in so many games. I'm in a lot of games on this channel. I'm also in 2 over on the Tales from the Grim. I really, really loved this. I love the interaction of just all the characters together. I like the fact that we, as a you know, like a union, we hate geese. That seems to be a thing I'm quite proud of. And I'm already looking forward to next week. Like I really can't wait. And okay, let's just leave the cat doing what she's doing. So we're gonna go and raid Geek and Sundry, and we're gonna use the Let's Evoke Emotions Warcry. So I'm gonna run through the bits and bobs, and then we will head over there and spread all the love. So first of all, Discord. Go and hop in our Discord. It's full of really amazing people like you see here today, and it's just beautiful, friendly people that want to talk and chat and get to know each other, so hop over there. If you want to get into a game, drop Scrat a DM on Twitter, and then we've got lots of viewer games this season, so definitely go check that out. YouTube, this will be up in the next couple of days, and you will also you can get the previous episodes on YouTube already. Patreon, we have hit our £500 on Patreon, and thank you so much. It's a good way to support us. Check out Renee's articles on there, and also we're adding another I think it's either another tier or another thing for Patreon. We're going to include some of the Zoom chats that we have, because they're becoming very colourful and eventful, so we're going to be sharing those on our Patreon. We also have merch, which we have via Redbubble, and also our wonderful sponsors in the form of Bird in the Storm and Mageham Press.
Can I interject that I have Eden screenshots from the Zoom chat?
We do have Eden screenshots, which I'm kind of loving seeing again. I miss Eden. But yes, we're going to go raid Geek and Sundry. Go and send the love, you know, say where you came from, and put that Let's Evoke Emotions in there. So until tomorrow, we'll see you all later. See you later. Bye. Oh, really?
She had to get up. I think